some sort of flim
I'd really
flam,
love to see
man,
from
kinda
maybe the
operation.
pressure
I'm
not to
good.
wear it because they wore it the first time they lost the Super Bowl. But those jerseys they had early 80s,
We'll get to the bottom
it was
of
kind of like that darker green than what they have been wearing, and like that solid silver, almost kind of matte for like the styling and the numbers. That just was so legit.
You have a parking area like we do.
Hey,
Thank you, sir.
yeah, I think a little better than
light.
that because
That's
I mean
light green.
the issue with that is that some of the color scheme I think is good in it, but the jerseys just kind of look mesh, you know, like a penny that you'd wear in gym class.
Favorite movies of all time.
That's a good one.
Invincible.
Here's a question I have for you. If you can fly, why do you need to be on the road to victory? You can just fly there.
Tom, and I'll just show this off. And then got him at a friend's house to watch him. And Brady's close to the record, and he says, yeah, but they're still not winning. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the stats I saw. I think it's like most yards on offense for a team that lost in NFL history. Missed that kick earlier.
Last touchdown, before the Brady fumble, if they kick the extra point there and then force the fumble, it's still over. It's a 9-point game.
Check,
I'm trying to remember what the
check,
score
check.
was in
1,
that
2, 3,
situation. I
4.
think maybe
Test,
once
test,
you
test.
got to that
Welcome to
situation,
the
2
University
points
of
would have been
Northern
right, but they
Iowa
wouldn't have
and the
been in a
McLeod
situation
Center.
if they weren't so obsessed about going for 2 in the second quarter.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as I saw that they were going for 2, I was like, when did Nick Saban become head coach? Because, you know, final game at LSU against Iowa in the Capitol Bowl, that was part of the problem, is that he was so obsessed with just trying to, you know, get into like a traditional score or something.
Well, part of his problem there too is his field goal. He had what, 2 blocked hits that day.
That was not a pleasant football game to watch. It was an awfully fun finish.
Yeah.
Tell me you want homeschool, just stay at home.
I actually did, like, text a friend of mine, like, saying
We all got today, boys.
that the game, that I thought it was too entertaining and too, like, enjoyable to watch to not eventually be sullied by an officiating situation. And by God, we almost got it.
Well, Dan Patrick was saying at some point, I don't know if it was just on his own or as part of an interview he had with one of his football guests that came in. It's like, we're eventually going to have a Super Bowl that gets decided by this catch-no-catch thing. And as soon as it happened, I'm like, oh.
Because as soon as Ertz reached out and the ball came out, it's like, yep, there it is. And
Yep.
honestly, by my limited understanding of the rule, that should have been incomplete. I'm glad it wasn't.
Yeah. I mean,
But-
by the way they've been enforcing rules or what I think some understanding of it is, it should have been incomplete.
It didn't look
He
any
took-
different to me
he
than the
had
Pittsburgh
taken-
game and the Pittsburgh.
I mean, if you're
They
just
had it
going
right,
common
they-
sense and how rules should be, clearly it's a catch,
Yeah.
and then he accepts.
And then a run,
But
yeah.
just based on precedent that they had set,
That's right.
you know, it should have been incomplete.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's like, because, yeah, they were talking about it. It's like, you know, if he's a runner, this counts, but as a receiver, it's like, why is that different?
And
why
also-
is it different?
And why, like, reaching for the end zone or the sideline is different than just being in play. Like, once he has control, has the catch, and then breaks the plane, why does it matter if the ball pops out in the end zone?
Yeah.
I'll
Shouldn't.
try.
It's
You may just have to
That's
try
why they're going to address the rule on the offseason.
Coach, get in, let's go.
They say they will.
They say they
They
will.
say they will.
For God's sake, a divisional round game was decided by that just 3 years ago. and they didn't
But if
do
he
anything.
shows up at
Yeah,
like
true.
5:48, then I don't.
Gee, you're talking about the Cowboy Packers?
I am.
30-ish. I can spend about
How did
Sorry,
I know?
25 minutes.
Oh, that was clearly Urban had done that all year.
There by then for the Jake show,
Right.
so they
For
get-
Brian, I mean, had done that all
We
year.
can get him there.
And all of a sudden, it's different in the playoffs.
I think he'll do it, it's just a matter of getting it there on time.
I saw the other thing where
Who's
talking
got
about how
softball?
NBC would have lost their hindies if if it would have been a Jacksonville, Minnesota Super Bowl, because obviously the big markets are kind of.
Well,
I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I think most of the country would have wanted to see two teams in it.
That's like, cause like, yeah, I didn't get like, it seemed like people's complaints were alternating between like, oh, not the Patriots again, to like, it's the Jaguars would be a disaster in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, why?
Yes.
I mean, I get the Bortles aspect to it a little bit, but I like that team. I really did.
I do too. Yeah. Well, and I said at the start of the Super Bowl, and the X factor is Philadelphia's defense is so underrated.
They suck.
And yeah. But they proved against the Vikings they can play really well.
Oh yeah, it was a good defense. Yeah, that's. Because I think the narrative is still like, well, Foles beat Brady. No, Foles beat brilliant Brady. That was as good. That's as good as I've ever seen Brady play.
Did you watch any of the halftime show yesterday?
Yeah.
But yet if you
I
put
want to know
pressure
how
on
they
him,
made the
he's just an average
switch
quarterback.
out of the
And
city.
they went away from the
Oh,
pressure
yeah,
and then
yeah.
brought it back on when they needed to in the last 2 minutes and look what happened.
That was another thing that annoyed me because, like, once they were rolling, Collinsworth and Mike was like, they haven't gotten his face all night. What are you talking? Like the whole first half, I don't think he set his feet once.
No, I know it. Oh, Al Michaels? You mean the guy that
He's a good
the guy that said that Mike Trout played for the California Angels?
Twice.
Twice.
And then he said that Patricia was going to be head coach of the
I was
Pistons.
just about to say that.
Did he really? I missed
Yeah,
that one.
no, because it's funny because they're talking about it as like, you know, something about it being a big story.
all process and
And then he says Pistons and Collinsworth corrects. I was like, oh, it'd really be big news if he was going to the Pistons. No, my favorite one is like some like parody account tweeted, the Lions should fire Matt Patricia as head coach. And then somebody followed up by saying, maybe they should hire the Eagles defensive coordinator.
So, I'm sure you've seen the whole Jeopardy thing on YouTube, haven't you?
Oh my God. Oh, salty as you know what. Savage. That was incredible.
I just love the way I
You know,
treated those guys.
I'm actually embarrassed. I only was 4 of 5. I forgot offsetting penalties.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, that's. I did get the 5. Not to throw it in your face, but I did get 5 for 5. So I
What was the last one?
Oh, the Purple People.
Oh yeah, Purple People.
It was Pink Stadium.
If one of you gets this right,
I will die.
I will die.
That was so great when he said that.
Alex Trebek 2020.
Oh no.
Oh, you must be really proud.
That was a fun night.
Did you cause an accident or what?
No, someone in front of me spun out.
As a fan, you don't get many of those. That was pretty fun.
That kept going again, but.
We'll go ahead and get started today. Thank you for coming out. Fly Eagles fly from a personal standpoint. What a Super Bowl night for a Philadelphia Eagle fan my whole life. So
Congrats.
that was fun. First up today is Tanya Warren, women's basketball. Panthers split weekend matchups against Missouri State and Southern Illinois, picking up the win on Sunday. The Panthers will hit the road this week. Game Friday at Indiana State at 6 p.m. Central, and then at Evansville Sunday at 2 p.m. Next up, head coach Tanya Warren.
Fly, Eagles, fly. I like that. I like that. Congratulations, Colin. Well, the weekend did not start the way we had hoped, but it certainly ended the way we had hoped. And honestly, I thought we played good basketball for the most part of Friday. I thought in the end, Missouri State wanted it more. I thought they out-toughed us. I thought they came up with 50-50 balls. And I thought they came up with key rebounds when they needed to. And you know, when you're in the moment, you're not very pleased, and I was not, because I thought with all that was riding on this weekend and where we had a chance to stand or set today, for someone to come in and out-tough you on your home floor did not leave me with a very good feeling Friday night. But sometimes you have to learn a lot about yourselves in the midst of the storm. And our challenge was we going to have a Missouri State hangover, or was we going to abide by our rule, which is celebrate or pout till midnight and move on? And I was really curious to see our approach on Saturday. I liked our attention to detail. I thought Sunday, again, we came out, we had a great start. As you're finding, and I've known all along, but you guys are probably like, how can you squander a lead? This is a very tough league. It's a very competitive league. And no lead is safe. Southern Illinois is a very good team. They can score in a variety of ways. They're the best defensive, or the best rebounding team in the league. They have one of the best post players in the league, and they have one of the best perimeter guards in the league. So they can score in a variety of ways. So in no way when we got up 17, 19, whatever it was, did I think the lead was safe. They was able to cut it to 8 at half. And my message to our team was, they have knocked on the door. How are we going to respond? How are we going to answer? And I thought the lesson learned from Friday night, we really, really grew up because I loved how resilient we was. I thought we was able to, we showed a lot of guts. We made some toughness plays. We made big plays and big moments on Sunday to allow us to get that win, whereas Friday I didn't think we did. So I really liked how quickly we learned a very tough lesson and found a way to split in our home with two very, very, very good opponents. So needless to say, I'm extremely pleased with the toughness that we showed yesterday. Number one rebounding team in the league, we out-rebounded them by 15, where we lost the rebounding battle on Friday. And Missouri State's a very, very aggressive defensive team. We only got to the free throw line 6 times Friday. We got to the free throw line 21 times on Sunday. Overall, I'm pleased with how we bounced back, and you have to be able to do that. And I thought we was able to do that. I thought we got a lot of good play from our bench, especially Carly Rucker came in and gave us a huge lift, did a lot of good things. Not only did she score herself, but she created for her teammates. I thought Taylor Hagan came in and gave us great minutes, had 8 rebounds. I thought Heidi was extremely active. I thought we got some good minutes from some good kids. Michaela Morgan shot the basketball extremely well, and Ellie did a lot of good things. So if we can continue to get better and understand the value of the basketball, right now that's our biggest struggle. Anytime your opponent has 19 points off of your 20 turnovers or whatever it was Friday night, it's going to be hard to win some basketball games. And you lose by 5. But the difference on Sunday was we out-rebounded by 15. We got to the free throw line, and we were extremely efficient on the offensive end. So going into this week, we will continue to harp about turnovers and valuing the basketball and making sure we try to eliminate the empty possessions where we're getting shots, quality shots down the floor, and get ready for a very good Indiana State team that I believe has won 5 in a row, and that is always a grind. There it was a grind here. They defend extremely well. They have one of the best athletic post kids in the league, and they're very good on the perimeter. So we're definitely going to have to make sure that we value the basketball, we rebound, and we defend. Are there any questions?
How pleased were you with the defense Sunday, in particular, kind of making Gablehausen work for her points and holding Sylvie to just 2 for the entire game?
You know, we talk about this weekly. I've been very pleased with our defense all year. I think we have defended extremely well. And this past weekend was no different. Even Friday, I mean, when you hold your opponent to 57 points, you think you have a shot. But we were very locked into tendencies. We've done a very good job of that all season. That will continue. We will continue to hang our hats on the defensive end, but very pleased because Sylvie had some big points at their place in overtime. So for us to be able to come out and defend her the way we did, again, is a credit to our kids and how locked in they were. And then I think Giebelhausen, I think most of her points came in the second half, but just a tremendous team effort.
You swept these 2 teams at your place. What do you have to do, take on the road with you to to match that performance at home on the road?
Well, we have to continue to defend with urgency. We have to rebound the basketball, and we have to eliminate unforced turnovers. That has been our Achilles heel. And then we got to understand it's a grind. We talk a lot about each game. It's a one-game series, and just staying in the moment and being able to have a short-term memory, not hang on to plays, but just play. And understand we're going to make mistakes, but we can't allow 2 to become 3 and 3 to become 4. So just being able to continue to work, understand what we do defensively, understand the rebounding piece, but more than anything else, eliminating empty possessions. Anything else? Colin, I was going to bring you some champagne, but didn't make it too soon.
Thank you, Tanya. Next up, UNI softball head coach Ryan Jacobs. Panthers are going to open the softball season this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with the Dome Classic. 15 games overall. Panthers will play 5 of them, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. Panthers' first game Friday at 2:45. Next up, head coach Ryan Jacobs.
No, it doesn't look or feel like it, but softball season's this week, guys. So we're really excited to host once again. This is an annual event for us, and we really enjoy, number one, being able to play at home on opening weekend, but for two, to make sure that our fans and everybody around here understands that we're starting to play, and although we'll be on the road for the following 5 weeks chasing the warm weather, that our season's kicked off, and we're really excited to have another good season. I guess looking ahead at what our competition is this weekend, we've got a couple of new faces in the Dome tournament this year. SEMO is their first time here. Coach Mark Redburn is familiar with the Dome. He was a coach at Evansville and a couple years ago, and actually played a conference series inside. So he understands what the Dome is like and how good of a venue it is to play. How even though you're playing inside, it doesn't affect the game as much as some of the other like bubbles and things like that people are trying to play in. So he was excited to come up. UMKC is another team that's new to the Dome. I don't believe they've been here ever before, so looking forward to hosting them. And then some usual faces with Wisconsin, Green Bay, South Dakota State, and Drake.
Ryan, the strength of your team this year, obviously you've got a pretty good offensive player coming back with Sammy, but talk about the strength of your team this year.
When I think about strength, I always think about defense and pitching and up the middle of your defense. Obviously, we've got to replace Anna Variano, who did every day catching for us last year, and that's a spot where we've been trying to fill in. A couple of good candidates back there. I think Brittany Krodinger is going to do some catching for us, as well as Ashley Chester, who both have seen some time back there, but never been the everyday catchers for us. And then you look up the rest of the middle. You got Jackie Spencer in the circle. You got Sammy Bunch at shortstop, and you got Courtney Krodinger in center field. So people who have been there before, and that'll help us develop some people around them that are going to be maybe not new to the team and new to the system, but obviously playing some more innings than they've been used to. And hopefully we'll see some growth from our team throughout the season. I know the way we start next Friday will definitely not be the way we end. As far as seeing some growth in our team and some consistency, and feel like we're gonna make some mistakes early, but the work that this team's willing to put in will show up when we need it to at the end of the season.
Outside of Spencer, how solid is your pitching?
Obviously losing Alyssa Buchanan from last year is some tough shoes to fill, but quite honestly, going into last year at this time, Jackie and Alyssa weren't one of our top pitchers. So if that shows you how things can kind of change throughout the year, and people will step up and things will happen that you don't expect. But obviously having Jackie in that role, who she's used to it a little bit, and Brooke Craig has seen some time over the last couple of years, but have really come into her own this year and is healthy and throwing the ball harder than she ever has, and really went home this summer really working on mechanics and and getting some control, and has done a nice job with that. So I'm excited to see where she'll come. Freshman Emma Olenczak has done a great job for us this year, and we're excited to see how how she handles the new competition level, and I know she'll give us some quality innings. And then we'll see Courtney Kroniger move from center field into the circle. She was an outstanding pitcher in high school. Just put it on the back burner the last couple of years, and this year we needed her to step up and take some innings for us, hopefully in the circle.
How do you feel the preparation has gone for this season opening weekend in the preseason stuff, and have there been any setbacks of any type?
We've had some adversity this year already. Some people that have had personal adversity, as well as some team it hasn't been smooth, which is fine with me, because I feel like the more that we can be out of our comfort zone, the tougher we'll get, and we'll be able to handle situations that come up that some teams wouldn't be able to respond to. That we'll be fine. But it's definitely been different this year for some reason. I can't put my finger on it, which like I said, I'm fine with. Every season is different, but this year seems to be even more different. And I don't know if that's because maybe we got over the hump, and some of the things that we've had to worry about in the past we're not worried about this year. But I feel like, once again, our team at this point of the year is ready to play. We've been working hard since the 3rd of January, and we're ready to see another color on the other side of the field.
Have there been any pleasant surprises? Somebody that you knew was good, but they've just really been excellent?
Our roster's smaller than ever before. We're at 16 right now, and but I don't feel like there's a weak link ever. I think from an offensive standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, it doesn't really matter who's out there. I think the confidence level that we have in them, and the confidence level that their teammates have in them, is probably more than it ever has been, which is great, because you need that when you've got a small roster. But I know from our standpoint, we've seen a lot of good things from players who didn't have impactful roles on the field last year that I think are going to step up. I don't know, but I think every year somebody surprises you that you didn't expect, and I think that could come from a number of people this year. Any other questions? Thank you.
Don't need to give Colin another opportunity to talk about his Eagles. Mike will cut it off there.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, looks like you may have even gotten a job with the Eagles. You work for the Panthers still, or you work for the Eagles? Congratulations, Colin. Yep, very happy for you. That's pretty awesome. All right, what questions do we have today?
Which, based on, I know this Bradley team, it was kind of a slog to play up there, knowing that they've, like a lot of teams in the league, been kind of different at home than they have been away. I guess what's your anticipation for this game coming up this week?
We had a pretty good 25 minutes. At halftime, we were in decent shape and came out the second half, and Isaiah made some jump shots, and we had some things going. And we had a nice lead with 15 to go, and they turned it on us in a hurry in transition. If you remember, Brown got loose in transition and made a couple threes, and that led to a couple other guys making threes, and the lead that we had built over the 25 minutes went away in 3 or 4 minutes, and they continued and they got away from us. So we've got to do a better job with our transition defense. We need to find a way to keep Brown in front of us, and we're going to have to do a very good job defending the ball screen. He's having a terrific year, and he's been a tough guy for teams to handle in those two areas. So we're going to have to do a good job there. And then at the offensive end of the floor, and there's some other things that they do, and they do well offensively. But I think it starts with our transition defense and our ability to defend the ball screen. And then for us offensively, Bradley's they've got one of the top defensive teams in the country, and they're so we've got to, and as we've talked about a lot, more so in our road games. And actually, our offensively against Indiana State on Saturday, we had enough offense to win that game. Our defense let us down on Saturday, but offensively we've played pretty well at home. In the last four, we've played well enough to get in three of them, and well enough to get the fourth one. So, but we're playing one of the better defensive teams in the country. So we're going to have to be able to do some things offensively against a very good defensive team.
You've been getting good production from Bennett lately off the bench, and then Austin is continuing to improve. It doesn't look like those two are ever on the floor together at the same time. So what's that balance like when you're getting production out of those two players who largely play the same position?
Yeah, no, that part in terms of the position they play and their rotation, Cole, they'll continue to. We won't have both those guys in the game at the same time. We're not built for that. They're not ready for that type of rotation or being in there together. And I think it's that part of it has been good to us to have two guys that have been productive and with them being at the same spot. That's okay. I think Bennett's going to play between 22 and or so, 22 and 28 minutes a game, and Austin's going to play. He's going to play between 12 and 18 minutes a game. Now that could go either way a little bit, but as we have seen, so both of them being productive is good. If we can, and that's one of the things that has been consistent for us for the most part, and has gone pretty well for us over the last 2.5 weeks since Austin's moved into that starting lineup. So we need to keep pushing that and keep moving that forward. And, Austin being effective when he's rolling to the basket and offensive rebounding and doing those things. And then Bennett is a guy that, as we know, that's one place we can go with the basketball. When we throw it to Bennett, they either have to double him, he's able to get himself a pretty good shot, or he's getting fouled. And a lot of times he's getting fouled once, twice, three times in the same possession. And then we get into the bonus early. And so, both those guys, as you said, they've been effective. We need to keep pushing that with both of them.
The defense has been good at home. After looking back at the game film, what went wrong defensively?
Boy, we made some individual mistakes, reaching instead of just doing our job and staying in front of the basketball, and then that leads to somebody else having to help and giving up an open shot. Communication on a ball screen. We got drug out too far on one, and that led to an open three. Those were back-to-back plays. It's really the attention to detail, the discipline to do the little things over the course of 40 minutes, and that's harder than trying to make too much out of a play. And the one I'm referring to, and I talked to Isaiah about it after the game. Isaiah's in front of I think it was Brenton Scott, and he's in good position, and he's in front of him, and he reaches and tries to get a hand on it, and instead of just doing his job and staying in front. Trying to make a little more out of that situation. Seems like the right thing to do when you're down 4 or 5 and you're not playing great. Like, hey, I'm going to see if I can't make something happen. That's the wrong thing to do. And that's where we found some struggles, guys. Is the ability to do our job on each and every possession. Some of it has been out of certainly wanting to do the right thing and trying to do what they can to help us play better. But that's not. That isn't part of their job. Our job is to coach them and put them in the best position we can, and to help them understand that if your job's to stay in front of the ball, then you stay in front of the ball, and that's what you do. You don't do anything else, and that part of it we need to get better at.
Which looks like within at least like the next couple games for sure, Taiwan's going to have broken your freshman rebounding record, having already passed some guys who are way up there on your list. Just, I mean, how significant an accomplishment is that?
Clay, that's a big deal. I mean, that's there's a lot of years both here and in league play. You're talking about a lot of guys in a lot of years. When you look at the numbers and where Ty's gotten to and where where he's going to be at when this season ends, that's been terrific. And he's, I think he's got a little more in him right now. Obviously he was off to a tremendous start, and he's done that, and he got off to a tremendous start in league play as well for a number of games, and he has had a terrific year. And he's still approaching practice the right way. When I say I think he's got a little more in him, once you play that well, teams, they're watching film. And they're going to do everything they can to take away, what's helping. In this case, Ty being a guy that's getting offensive rebounds. They're going to work hard not to let him get those offensive rebounds. So, I think we're at the point now where I'd like to see him get through that and see if he can even though teams are playing him different and making it harder for him. Be fun to see him take one more step and get past that and have some of those bigger games on the boards again. And I think he's very capable of it. And I'll be surprised if he doesn't have some of those big games here as we get through February. But man, what he's done this year has just been awesome, and really happy for him because he approaches it the right way. As I've told you before, and when we've talked about him, he loves to play. And he's got a smile on his face, and he's working hard to get better. He's working hard to do the right things. So that's been fun, and I think he's got a big month ahead of him still.
I think a lot of people in the league before it started thought Loyola would be good with their senior lineup. Drake was kind of the surprise team early. With where Bradley sits with 6 games to go, a game out of first, is it a bit of a surprise to you that they're right near the top of the conference standings right now?
No, the majority of that group they're playing 8 or 9 guys, and most of those guys have played together for at least 1 full year. Some of those guys have been with Brian now for 2 full years. So they've still got a young team. They've got some sophomores playing. They've got a freshman starting for them right now. They've got a freshman coming off the bench. So they've still got a relatively young team. But most of them played together last year. And, again, some of them were together the year before with Brian. So not surprised. And then the other thing I would add to that, Gare, is defensively they have been that good. When you defend that well each and every night, as we've found out over the course of our time here, when you've got a team that is defending at a high level and they're doing it every night, you got a chance. So you're going to win some close games, and they've been able to do that. They've been able to play well in a lot of situations because they have defended so well. So and that's a credit to their guys. It's a credit to Brian and his staff to get them to play at a high level defensively each and every night. So no, not surprised that they're in a good position right now.
How are they getting it done defensively? Are they just a really good, aggressive man-to-man or trapping or what?
Yeah, it's almost all man-to-man, and it's. I think one of the reasons why they have played so well defensively is they play it the same on every possession. And I used to say that about Wichita State. They don't make a lot of adjustments for who they're playing against. They do what they do defensively, and then you've got to find a way to beat it. And there's a lot to be said for that. So I think that the repetitions they get at practice, the fact that they don't change much game to game, they'll make their scouting adjustments, but they don't change much to their base defense. And you can see that their guys are comfortable with that, and they've got a lot of confidence in it. And I think that's, I think that's good coaching, and Brian's done a good job that way. Anybody else? Okay. All right, thanks. Yep.
Schwab will be here shortly.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I think you
Ready for it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Is that supposed to be a short joke? It doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm just telling you. I know I'm short. Oh, let's see. Oh, I mean, obviously excited to get back at home. And we've been about 7 weeks in between. I can tell you we're working our schedule right now. We won't let that happen again. Kind of with the change, moving to the Big 12. We got shorter a little bit, some of our home duels, but working on that right now. I know we'll have 5 for sure, working on a 6th. And we won't have that big a break, but get back home this weekend. Wrestle Iowa State. I know a few things going on. Going to honor Bill Smith. Getting that display up in the Hall of Champions, and then rolling forward. See my hat. Been incredible sponsors since day one, since I took over the program. They're going to be giving away hats for military, and we're going to get a chance to honor them too. So, be a great event. Let's have that place packed. And I know Dresser's been there before, but that was at Virginia Tech. So hopefully there's a little added heat, being that it's Iowa State. The duel, missed opportunities. Been thinking about it a lot, and if you watch the matches and talk to their team a little bit after, when you swing the momentum or you have the momentum, that's when you got to learn how to put your foot on their throat. And good competitors, what they'll do is they'll resurrect themselves. They'll stay in the match. They'll find a way to still be able to get back in it or win it. And that's where we have to be able to do that. Like, you watch some of those matches, and we'd have some momentum, they'd swing back momentum, and then we have to swing it back again. To me, that's becoming a great competitor. That's believing in yourself when you step out there, not being surprised to have kind of a guy on the ropes in some situations. And we definitely had some guys on some ropes in some situations. But then that's when you got to be able to have that knockout punch. And that's when you got to believe before you get them to that point. And then you just got to push them over that edge. And we're going to work on that. There's some encouraging results. Obviously, when you have an opportunity, though, to take out a team like that at home, in an environment they don't lose a whole lot, you want to take advantage of that. So some real good things. Shoreham, great first period. And then get a little bit high, get reversed, have to get off the bottom. That guy's tough. Wagner was able to get a takedown. Just got to make him earn scores more. 41, got scored off our attack. And then you have to get off the bottom. Kind of keep hearing get off the bottom. Max kept attacking. Guy scrambled out of some things, and then Max scrambled back out of some things pretty well. The thing that I like is he's still attacking. We're going to the overtime. We're still attacking. And was able to secure the win. Logan Ryan looks like he's almost going to have a go behind. Just got to give himself another opportunity there. And then don't get that opportunity, then you got to give yourself another opportunity. 65, Dan had the guy on the ropes, big time. You go to the overtime, you go attack, though. You go attack. Don't wait for that guy to come to you. You go attack him. And like I said, kind of step and put your foot on their throat in that situation. That guy came to him, was able to attack him and score. So good for him. Lujan, he can create even more. Hit 2 good attacks. He can hit 10 good attacks in a match and then blow that thing wide open. Thought Drew Foster looked really good. Keegan's very hard to score on, and he made a few of them look easy just because he hit shots so well. Hogg, that guy's a returning All-American, one of the top guys in the country, and got him thinking. I mean, you go to into that second period, and you can see you look in a guy's face, and you got a guy kind of on that edge. Then we got to be able to get off the bottom. Carter, got to believe a little bit more. Give himself really committed opportunities. So kind of went through the lineup. Again, missed opportunities. But the good thing is there's going to be more of them. There's one coming this weekend. There's the one coming the weekend after. We're going to have plenty of opportunities in the Big 12, but time to start capitalizing on those. And like I said, just I can't say it enough, but put your foot on their throat. Push them over the edge. Whatever you want to use, you got to be able to do that. And kind of like the Eagles tried to do last night. Back and forth. That was a good game. It's a good game. They didn't blink though. I'll give them that, man. They came out like trying to run right through guys. That's what I like the most. If anybody watched that game, like guys were trying to run right through them. Like, we're going to send a message to these guys. We're not going to back down. And so, kind of thinking about that for our team. Who cares who it is? Yeah, you're the defending champs. Who cares? You're going to have to take our best, and then we're going to keep coming, and then we're going to put it right in your face again. And I don't know. To me, I watched that last night, and I'm like, that's how we need to compete. We got to do those same things. So I guess any questions?
Besides getting the dual win this weekend, which is the main thing you want to try and accomplish, what else does this duel mean with it being in-state and Dresser trying to rebuild Iowa State? What else carries in this duel?
I think a lot of storylines. I mean, it's a rivalry. I mean, so there's heat. There's a little bit, I think, and you shouldn't be added just because who it is. I mean, we need to come every time, but I mean, our guys. There's still a lot of talk about Iowa State. They got a new coach about this time, last year, and I think some of our guys are like, well, what about us? What about us? Well, the way that we can really remedy that is just you go whoop a whole bunch of tail, you score a whole bunch of points, you whoop up on teams. Then everyone, they can't deny you. Then they have to look at you. They have to watch you because man, you guys are just that good. I just think it's about building some momentum. I want to see 10 guys compete, like what they're capable of in one time in one meet, because we really haven't done that. We've had flashes, but it can't just be a flash. It needs to be more consistent. And just when you're going down to you got 2 duels left, a couple opportunities to build momentum. This is obviously one of them. I know guys would be excited to get back in front of a home crowd. We've been on the road a whole bunch. But so that's part of it too. Like I said, if we're going to win a national title, you got to win on the road. We're going to win the Big 12s, you got to win on the road. So our guys are definitely battle tested, but it'll be good to just get a flow going. I don't know if we'll start at 25 or not, but I like us starting at 25, and then just being able to kind of snowball from there. So that's what I really want to see. Just avalanche them, just. Where and they can't breathe. There's nowhere for them to go. That's how I look forward to our team competing this weekend.
Refresh my memory. How do you decide where you start? Is it the visiting team that makes that call?
Either side. If either side doesn't want to start at 25, then you draw, and then you could draw any weight. Where did we draw the last time? Where were we at before this? Oh, South Dakota State. Yeah, we drew there, and we drew 25, which. I don't think they wanted to draw, and then it ended up working out pretty good for them. So, but no, I mean, I like having a routine. I like that our guys, when we can start 25, when you got a guy that starts things off and whoops a whole bunch of tail and scores a whole bunch of points, it's a lot easier to want to start 25 too. Sometimes it makes sense to draw, but I mean, for the most part, just from guys being able to be on a routine and have it normal as possible. But I don't know, we may draw. We'll see.
They do have a freshman there that doesn't have a great record. Do you sense that he would want to draw and not start that way?
Maybe. I mean, I think a lot of their meets they've still started that way, and I don't think from hearing that kid's story, I think they found him at Quick Trip or something crazy. They had another guy get hurt, and then they didn't really have anybody, and then someone left the team, and you find a guy to fill in. I mean, it's a great opportunity. The guy's getting to wrestle Division I at a Big 12 school, with a school like that in that kind of history. So I know he's going out there and battling every time. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you want momentum to get started in any direction. So I would guess that he's going to draw, but I don't know. You'll have to ask Dresser. I'll call him up if you want, so you guys know what we're going to start or we're going to draw.
Just looking at the matchups and the rankings and records, it looks like at the majority of the weight classes, your guy's going to be favored, and it isn't always like that when you went to Oklahoma State teams like that. Do you address that at all, or how do you expect your guys to handle that when in a lot of the weight classes you're going to be favored to win the match?
Well, I told you what we need to do when we're not favored. We need to do the same thing when we are favored. We just step on their throat. We get a chance of bonus points, we got to put them away. If some of those guys aren't going out there, some of the other guys are going out there and maybe they don't think they can win the match, make sure they don't feel like they can win the match. I mean, that's how you go out and score points and you set a pace. You continue to put them in positions where you're really good. Then their thoughts of winning start becoming surviving. And then it's really tough on them. I don't know. It doesn't. To me, it doesn't change. I mean, if we're favored or not favored, we're prepared and ready. And to me, we go out and compete the same way. I mean, our guys know who they're wrestling. They know if they're favored or not, and that's when they just snuff it out of them right away. And hopefully, our fans help do that too. You know, I mean, it should be a packed crowd. There's no reason 7 o'clock on a Saturday night that there's any place you'd rather be than in the West Gym, you know, for a couple hours. I know that districts should be done. You know, it should be a packed house, and in the start of, you know, the rivalry's been going, but you know, just add a few more layers on it with the change of staff and all those things. So we'd like to start it in a certain way and really put a lot of momentum on our side in that rivalry.
You beat them last time you wrestled them 20-12. Just scouting their team, do you feel like Kevin's bringing in a better team than what you wrestled last year?
They've been wrestling better though. I mean, you know, you pay attention to things. You watch. I watch a lot of wrestling. You know, got to watch them a little bit down at Virginia Duels. They're competing better as a team. You know, heavyweight's been wrestling well. 97's been wrestling well. 49's been wrestling well. The 41 pounder that moved up from 33 beat Heil last time out. You know, 57's been wrestling pretty well. He had a real good guy on the ropes this weekend. So you're certainly paying attention. I think they're guys. You know, you lose a bunch and then you kind of come in unsure, and then you start getting a little momentum on your side and you start building something. And I think they're building a little bit right now. They're doing a good job, but our job is to stop that momentum now. So 7 o'clock Saturday night. Look forward to West Gym being packed. So thanks.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Have a great week. Go Panthers.
So there's a quarterback controversy now, right?
There you go. Are you done by the time Andy Grammer goes on stage?
Carson Wentz's job.
I would
Rally around who Andy Grammer is?
Rallied around Carson Wentz.
No, I'm not.
Now the new guy, Cousins, now you're the next.
Yeah, Cousins is playing for like 5 different teams right now. Yeah, their fan base.
I don't see it happening, but that whole story about him maybe getting franchised,